Hello, my friends. Welcome, welcome. I am here with a very special guest today to talk about communication and connection. We're here with my friend and colleague, Robyn Smith, who, between walking her dog on the beaches of Costa Rica, growing tropical fruit, and hiking to waterfalls, Robyn is also the person women turn to when they've tried therapy, read the books, and are still stuck in the same painful relationship patterns. She's a master trauma and relationship coach and founder of the Rock Your Relationship movement. Since 2013, she's helped thousands of women break free from reactive cycles and create deeply fulfilling partnerships. And with her thriving 24-year marriage as inspiration, Robyn knows firsthand that love isn't enough when old wounds and communication patterns get in the way. That's why she created the Connection Code communication training, a simple, powerful approach to help women stop arguing and start feeling seen, heard, and deeply connected in their relationships. Welcome, Robyn. Thank you so much for being here and sharing all your amazing wisdom with us today.
I'm happy to be here, Risa. Always fun to have this conversation with you. So thanks for having me.
Oh, it's always so rich. So tell us why, Robyn, do so many smart, self-aware women still struggle to feel truly heard and understood in their relationships?
It's a thing, I tell you. I've coached a lot of women over the years who are smart and self-aware, or maybe even coaches themselves or therapists, and the relationship dynamics can be really challenging when we get with another person who maybe was raised differently, has a different point of view, a different style. We end up in these like butting heads, conflicts. And also it's our own background, so where we come from, and patterns that we learned in our childhood, often how we were raised, what we modeled in our family of origin, early wounds that happened that can create negative self-beliefs, that can create just basically unhealthy dynamics around like how you speak or how you listen or don't. And we can end up doing patterns we'll be talking about later, but getting kind of hooked by, like I said, power dynamics, or things like people pleasing or overgiving, or not having healthy boundaries, or being too boundaried, too controlling, or just any kind of other unhealthy patterns where you feel like not enough, so you hold back. And so all this can affect how we show up in our relationships and how we communicate, and it can affect whether we get heard and understood, whether at home with our partner, or in the workplace, or with our kids, our parents, of course, and even friends and colleagues. So yeah,
Yeah, I know. It's amazing that we can even get along with each other, isn't it?
it is.
There's so much that's going on beneath the surface, all those beliefs about ourselves and the communication. I know that's the number one issue that I hear too from both men and women, that they want to learn how to do better. And I'm surprised that there isn't something that we get around that in our upbringing, our training. Maybe that'll change eventually. But it really is it can really make or break how we if we have the skill to learn how to communicate properly. So that's why I so appreciate the work that you're doing and having your hair share with us. So um, thank you again for being here. And so now, when you have empowered communication, Robyn, what becomes possible in your relationship, and why does that matter so much?
Yeah. Oh gosh, so much. So I was just reflecting as you were speaking about my own, as I shared, 24-year marriage, and how in the beginning we were arguing a lot more and having some power struggles and not feeling heard and feeling frustrated. And even though we've mostly gotten along pretty well the whole time, it just gets better as we both do our work. But you know, so what I've seen shift is that as I learned a lot of skills, because I thought I'd already studied communication, I guess early in our relationship and before, between relationships, but I was still getting caught in these challenges. And as I did more work around communication and learned new skills, some of which I'll be teaching in my free training that we're talking about at the end of our interview here, things really started to shift. And so some of what shifted is my confidence, and as my sense of self shifted, I became more able to speak up for my needs and boundaries. And also, as I understood more what my needs were, and as I used skills that didn't blame and didn't criticize, we'll be talking about that a little bit more. He was able to hear me more and be less defensive. So, so that's just a little sampling that I see with a lot of people who do the free training or become clients, is that you can get more heard and understood. You can feel more connected. You could get more respect because you're advocating for yourself. You're setting your boundaries. You're speaking for your needs. You're not becoming a pushover or shutting down or going silent. And because you're more confident. So that's some of what's possible. Just more ease and connection if we were to summarize all that.
Beautiful. What a beautiful feeling to be able to feel confident, to be able to speak up and speak your truth. I know that's something I've struggled with in the past of being able to, set those healthy boundaries, and a lot of the women that I work with too. So
Yeah.
I know it is such a good feeling when you can feel that sense of groundedness in yourself and confidence and have the skill to be able to communicate in a way where you really are going to be heard. It's amazing how yeah, it's like the magic, the magic of communication, the
It,
connection code, right?
that's right. And I love that, just how you put it back to me. But there's one piece, like, so it's not just speaking up, right? But how you speak up, what you say and how you say it, because people have their own listening filters. And so if they're hearing criticism, even if they're not giving it, sometimes they're going to push back, they're going to defend, or they're going to attack back. So we need to learn how to speak so we avoid that, how we avoid the defensive response. And that's something I teach in this upcoming event. We can't control, obviously, what someone hears, but we can do our best to speak in a way that they're a lot less likely to hear criticism or an attack or control or whatever it is we might normally be doing. So we're more likely to create the connection that we want, to be heard, to be understood, to get collaboration instead of conflict.
Yeah, so important. I think that's sort of the biggest thing with communication is that um, the way that most of us communicate, it automatically creates defensiveness, and then it just doesn't go. It doesn't go anywhere good. It's
So
like
it's
from
spiraling
the
into
get-go, right?
disagreement. Yeah. Yep.
Setting it up for success here, people. All right, Robyn. So, what are some of the most common communication pitfalls you see holding women back?
Yeah, so we've spoken about some of these already. People who are afraid to speak their needs, because they're usually afraid of rejection or judgment. Those are like two sides of the same coin, or worse, abandonment, like losing the whole relationship, so loss. So they might, we'll talk about this a bit more, but they tend to feel resentful then because they're not speaking up and they're always kind of acquiescing with other people's needs and then just not getting what they need. So they tend to be in service of others, but not in service of themselves. They get to end up feeling used and not really being seen. So that's one that's really going to set you up for not feeling satisfied in relationships. Another one is blaming. So I mentioned that earlier. Blaming and criticism also kind of similar, but when you're pointing the finger, when you're making someone wrong, when you're making them the source of the problem, then they're going to likely be defensive. They're going to likely resist that and escalate it, or like I said earlier, like attacking back, um, or giving excuses or whatever they do. So when you don't take responsibility for your part and you put it all over there, then it's just not going to go well. So this is another very common pitfall. And when you grew up in a household like I did, where there was a lot of blame, like who left the lights on, who did this, who did that, you did this, you shouldn't have done that, then you just pick it up naturally. So it takes some conscious effort to remove that from your speaking style. Um, and yeah, so
Yeah, you're blaming. It just doesn't, it's not really helpful at all, ever, is it?
no, it makes you feel good for a moment because it's like you're wrong and I'm right.
Right.
But it doesn't create closeness.
Yeah. And it doesn't really get you what you want either.
Doesn't,
Great
no,
change
no.
you want. Yeah.
Unless you want conflict. Yeah. So the third one is shutting down. And that's, often because of fear, or your nervous system is like, really, really on high alert. And so you just can't handle it. And so that's the best way to handle it is to shut down and leave. So you might walk away, you might pretend everything's fine, shove it under the rug, whatever your style is. But that leaves things unresolved, and then there's no, feeling of completion or closeness again, because you basically created distance and separation by doing that. So, and sometimes people do that and then they come back later, pretend everything's fine, but it's not, and both people feel that it's not because it hasn't been repaired. So that's another common one I hear from people I work with.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've done that one too, where it seems easier to just avoid the conflict in the moment, but then, yeah, I learned that we call that like a withhold, right? Then we're
Yes. Yeah.
withholding, and every time, every little time we do that, it's like putting another brick in the wall between the connection, and
Yeah.
that's how it grows. That disconnection grows. So important what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you share some examples, Robin, of the kinds of early trauma that can make it hard to communicate with confidence and clarity?
You bet. Yeah. So it's so helpful to get that it's not usually just a communication style that we were modeled, although that's a huge part of it. Like I said, the blaming was in my household, but also there's like some deeper stuff that might be driving how we're showing up in our relationships and how we're communicating. So I'm going to touch on that. It's a very big topic. We're just going to give it a light brushstroke here, but one of them is early neglect. So if you were neglected, not getting your physical needs met or emotional needs met, but especially physical, like somebody just wasn't there, or you weren't wanted, that's a really hard one. So you get this feeling of I don't matter, or I'm not worthy, or I shouldn't even be here. Some people are told outright, like I don't want you, I didn't ever want you, you don't deserve to be in this family, or some horrible things like that. So that is just so damaging to your sense of worth, and so you don't feel worthy of having relationship, and intimacy then feels very threatening because it feels like you're going to get abandoned. You're going to just feel so alone. You already probably do feel alone because part of your strategy when you're neglected is to avoid connection because connection feels threatening because of this fear of just more abandonment and aloneness. So you create that by avoiding and shutting down some of the things we've already talked about. Um, so that's one that can happen, and especially when it happens really early in life, like in the womb or in the first 6 months. Another one is a misattunement. That's a kind of a technical term, but it points to a caregiver not being able to assess your emotional needs. And so not being able to like read you and then try to meet you. Caregivers can't always meet you because they're guessing if you can't speak yet, you're an infant. They're just trying to attend to you as best they can. But if they're not even trying, or if they keep missing it, like they just don't get it because they're not really paying close attention, or they have their own kind of cloaks and they're not able to attune because of their trauma, then you're not getting your emotional needs met, and you can develop this sense of like, my needs don't matter. So
Mm.
it's a different level of don't matter, but like it's unsafe to have needs because they won't get met and I'll feel alone, or if I'll feel hurt if I have them, because they won't get met. So you end up learning to suppress your needs. And then you discover that it feels better to not have needs. So to pretend you don't have needs, because we all have needs. And then you try to meet others' needs. So then you become really good at attunement to others, which is a
Mm.
wonderful quality of like, how can I, what's going on for you? How can I serve you? What do you need? But then you end up disregarding your own or not even knowing that you have needs. And then so you don't speak up for your needs. So that's how it affects your communications. You don't know what they are, so you can't speak to them, or you're afraid to speak to them. So there's that pattern of like acquiescing and going with whatever others want, but then you end up feeling resentful because you're not getting that attunement that we all really long for. We all want to be known and gotten and seen and heard. So your relationships might end up lacking some depth because you're not showing up fully in your authentic self. When you're
Mhm.
doing that, you're denying an important part of who you are, your needs.
Yeah.
So
I can see how those kind of patterns get formed and how detrimental they really are to the relationships, which is another reason why I'm always really happy to share the work that you're doing to help, um, yeah, reduce some of the impact that's having for people. So much pain. Um,
yeah,
so yeah.
there's one more.
Oh, one more. Okay.
More trauma pattern we're going to talk about, which is when you've had a lot of harsh punishment.
Oh.
Maybe you were physically abused, but maybe you weren't physically abused or emotionally abused, but you were just like harshly punished, and kind of made to believe that you were wrong or you're not good enough or things like that, or you have to work harder and so and there could have been this feeling of like love was dependent on how good you did,
Mm.
how well you did. Um, so you might end up being a people pleaser because it feels safer to try and do good, in your world and because that means you're going to at least get some kind of contact, some kind of connection versus the worst is when you get negative attention, that like whether it's abuse or just harsh punishment or criticism. So to avoid that kind of feeling of rejection, you would people please. You would say yes, even when you want to say no. And then again, it looks a little bit like the last one where you're not showing up very authentically anymore because you're not speaking your truth. You're speaking what you think people want to hear, but really you're speaking what you think will keep you connected in the relationship, will keep them liking you.
Mhm.
So then your relationships are based on falsehoods, right? And you not being true to yourself. So people will like who they think you are or who you're trying to be, but not who you really are. And
Mhm.
then you don't feel satisfied because you're not getting real connection.
I can relate to that one too. Um, yeah, yeah. So when your past trauma is impacting your ability to express yourself, what three areas do you recommend focusing on first?
Yeah, it's going to depend, of course, on what kind of trauma you've got. But here's some a general guideline. The nervous system is really important, so I'd say that's number one. Is knowing your nervous system, knowing what your fight flight response is, whether you tend to shut down or freeze or whatever it is you do, and how to self-regulate, how to bring more calm and balance into your system. So that's something I teach in my longer programs. Um, and that will help you manage difficult conversations with more ease, right? Because if you're really anxious or tense or panicking, it's really hard to get the words out or really hard to even think clearly. So that can be really important to address. And then your self-worth. This is a really fundamental piece, again, that I work with a lot in my longer programs with women is when we don't feel good enough, when we don't feel worthy, when we don't feel lovable, it's going to affect how we show up and our ability to speak up again, our sense of like my words matter, what I want matters. So that's really important. If that's not online, you're not going to be able to do all the things we've been talking about, to have the boundaries and express the needs and say no when you want to say no and things like that. So that supports that capacity.
Mm.
So the self-worth piece. And I know you work with women on that a lot, and I love that you're doing that. Yes, so
Yeah,
important.
it really starts there, with those
Yeah,
beliefs about ourselves. If I don't think I'm worth it, if I don't think I'm good enough, then no one else is probably going to be treating me any different than I'm treating myself, right? And there's good reasons why we develop those. So, yeah,
yeah,
that's all the work that I do is learning how to have this self-compassion and how to unwind those limiting beliefs and then how they're manifesting in the patterns and the relationships. So,
yeah.
really good.
So important. So
Yeah.
foundational. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then unresolved emotions. So often we come in, not we come in with, but we develop over time. Like if you've had these traumas, you're going to have some feeling about that. And if you don't work through the feelings, or maybe you've had a lot of loss in your life, which we call a kind of trauma, you might have a lot of unresolved anger or unresolved grief or sadness. And if those aren't addressed, that's going to come out in your communication too. You're going to be like more critical or more blaming if you're more angry and you don't know it, or you're going to be taking things too personally if you've got a lot of sadness or self-worth issues. So, um, or you're going to be shutting down and depressed. So this is really key to having a healthy relationship. Really
Hmm.
key. So many people don't address that. We think I have to, as my teacher used to say, like it's like rearranging the furniture on the Titanic. If that's all you're doing, the ship's still going down. So you gotta like fix the hole in the ship, which is like these pieces that we're talking about here.
Yes, so important.
Yeah.
Um, Robin, if a woman listening feels stuck right now in painful communication patterns, what three small shifts could she start making today to turn things around?
Yes, yes. Yeah, so I'm going to give you some small shifts because we have a limited time. But one of them is looking at your own capacity to kind of listen and stay connected. And so we all have lots of distractions in our lives, right? We're all like overfilling, and I don't know about all, but a lot of us are overfilling our plate. We're watching the screen while we're talking to somebody, or we're multitasking in some other way, driving and or cooking and whatever we're doing. So that impacts your communication and your feeling of connection. So my suggestion is if you're having an important conversation, give it your full attention and make eye contact as best you can. Sometimes you have a block to that, and that's probably an early trauma issue, but do your best to give someone your full eye contact and ask for that back. So that helps you have a more connected conversation. And I'm talking about a meaningful conversation, not the one like, um, hey, when are you coming home? Not that, but like the one where you're sitting down and wanting to get heard and understood. So full attention. And that's kind of attunement that we spoke to earlier. So you can practice attunement with eye contact, listening, not multitasking while you're having an important conversation.
Mm.
A second one is,
Simple thing, but so powerful. Just like stop,
yep,
ask for the full attention. I think sometimes that's where we forget. Oh, I could ask you for that right now. This is important. Can I just have your attention for a minute and make the eye contact and have the full presence? If
yeah,
you think about it, it's seems kind of like a maybe rare moments when we just give
yes,
someone our complete full attention. So yeah, that's really good.
yeah.
What else? What else, Robin?
Yeah, so on that note, like this asking, if you do want to get heard, if you do want to have someone's full attention, you can ask for consent, ask for permission, ask for their presence before you start the conversation. So, and like I often say, like some women I talk to, their husband's getting home from work, so classic scenario, or vice versa. But and they start dropping a bomb on him, like before he's even taken his shoes off or whatever. Like, we got to talk. This is happening, and he's like, like let me even put down my stuff and have drink of water or something. So we want to make sure someone's available physically, like they're not exhausted, they're not going to fall asleep on us, they're not starving and like having, hunger pangs and distracted by that. They're not emotionally distracted. Maybe they're grieving or they're angry about something, and that's going to be hard for them to listen. You want to make sure they have the time. just the basic thing of like, hey, do you have 10 minutes or a half hour for this conversation? So that's what consent is about. It's that asking piece, but not just for eye contact, but for their availability for the conversation you want to have. And so then this is like foundational again, setting the stage to have the connection, the being heard and understood that you're hoping to get, that you're just there's more skills, of course, that I teach in the training coming up, but this is going to at least set the stage for that to happen. A lot more likely for that to happen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Setting
then
the stage. Yeah.
setting the stage. And then the third one is to practice a boundary because so often, especially women are sort of told to be like more diminutive or like not speak up or like just go with it and don't have needs and serve others, things we've been talking about. A lot of that we've been acculturated to do. So a simple boundary is really healthy to have, and it's about honoring yourself. That's what they're about. So when you do feel a no about something, whether it's about, someone's asking you for a conversation, or maybe they're asking you for some intimacy, some sex, and you're like, I'm not in the mood, to be able to say that and not in a hurtful way, but in a clear way, that's not okay with me, or I'm not available for that right now. Like to start practicing that with people is empowering, is super empowering. And so we'll go more into that in the training coming up. But that's a start for everyone listening is to exercise your boundary muscles, right? And to really honor yourself. And it doesn't have to be done in a way that's hurtful. It can just be done in a way that's really clear and polite and kind, and just about honoring yourself. It doesn't have to be being hard on someone else or critical or anything like that.
Yeah, I know, and that can be hard to do. So we do need to, I like that you're saying, just start to practice in little ways,
Mhm.
honoring what you need and how you feel. And that's, yeah, combined with the proper languaging of
Yeah.
how we're
Yeah.
communicating, right? Um, so yes, thank you for that. Well, I know we've got a few more minutes here. What's one powerful insight or step you wish every woman knew about creating connection through communication?
Yeah. Well, gosh, we've given a lot today, but I would say that one first, it's possible. Like to just really hold that vision that it is possible, even if you've been alone for a lot of years or you've been frustrated by intimacy. Like it is possible when you do the inner work and you have the skills. And so, and the skills can be like communication skills, and it's going to take patience and practice. So those are the things. It's possible, patience, and practice, the three P's. So patient with your process of learning, of breaking old habits. Practice the skills you're learning. If you're in my training or Reese's or someone else's, like be patient with learning the practices and keep practicing them because everyone has their own timing and pacing that works for them. Some people in my groups get huge transformation within 3 months, and other people maybe 6 months or a year. So, we're all different in our pacing. We have to just be forgiving of ourselves and understanding of ourselves. So, patience, practice, and know that it's possible.
Beautiful perspective. And I know anytime we're unwinding these deep limiting beliefs and these patterns and learning new skills, it does take patience and practice. And I love that you're leaving us with just that. Remember, it is possible because people are doing it. We're doing it.
People are doing
We're doing
it.
it all the time. It's possible for you too. So,
Yeah.
Robyn, I know you have a free communication training coming up. Please tell us more and how we can find it.
Good, good. Well, you have the link for it. So you're putting it in with this interview. So look for that, whether it's below or on the side or wherever it goes. um, but yeah, this free communication training I created is called the Connection Code. And it gives some powerful tools for helping you very quickly learn how to set boundaries and what a boundary is and why they're important and also skills for how to get heard and understood without creating conflict, without escalating a situation, without getting into those defensive reactions where things just go back and forth and you feel like pulling your hair out because it's getting nowhere. And they'll give you the tools I share will give you clarity and confidence to know what to say, how to say it, when to use it, especially in difficult or meaningful conversations, so you can create the kind of connection that you want in your relationships, and how to create more closeness too. If you're one of these people who are in a relationship, but your relationship feels really disconnected and you don't know how to connect anymore, and you used to hold hands and now you don't, or you used to, he used to put his arm around you and now he doesn't, or you used to kind of have good conversations and now you don't. Like, this can help bring you back to that feeling of like, we're connected, we're on the same team again, and that's such a wonderful feeling. So that's what I offer in the connection code: practical tools and skills that you can learn right away and implement right away in your life to create deeper connection and closeness in your life.
Amazing, Robyn. Who doesn't want more connection with the ones we love and to be able to communicate more confidently and clearly, more effectively? And yes, I will put the link in the comments or wherever you're seeing this. And Robyn, I just really want to thank you for sharing your time with us today and all these good tips, and also for doing this training. And I really want to encourage people, take advantage of this. This is a free training that, Robyn, it's over 4 days, an
Yes,
hour a day for 4 days.
an hour a day, not a long time to commit.
It's not a long time, and it's so, so valuable. The people who do this training with her come out with really being able to make some good changes in their lives and start to experience changes and more connection in their relationships. So if you were to have to pay for this program, it would be hundreds and hundreds of dollars, my friends. And Robyn is generously offering this free training, and it's coming up soon. So click that link if you're interested. And Robyn, thank you so, so much for all that you do and all the beautiful work that you're helping people with. Any last little words of wisdom before we let you go?
Ah, yeah, just trust in your process,
Mm,
get your hand held,
mm,
because I can hold your hand, at least Risa can hold your hand, but get your hand held, because it's hard to do this stuff alone. It's so much nicer and more fun to do it in a group. So that's why I offer the group setting, because we learn from each other. So I encourage you to join us. And Risa, thank you so much for having me here. I always love our conversations and the kind of easy banter between us, and I so appreciate the work you're doing in the world as well. So thanks for
mm.
being my sister on the journey.
Oh, my pleasure. So click that link, my friends. Come join us. This is the kind of stuff you really can't do alone. And it's a beautiful opportunity to come together and have more connection for ourselves in the group and with our loved ones. So thank you so much, Robyn. Mwah. Sending out so much love.
Thanks
Bye.
everyone for watching.